Welcome back! Today I'm going to teach you how to build a wall rack for your puppets. So lately my studio has been getting a little bit cluttered and I think it's time for a little facelift anyway. I've got some plans to move a couple things around. First thing I'm going to do is take my tools behind me and move them further down. They'll be mostly out of sight. And I bought a Kruinger Puppet sign that I'm going to hang up right in the middle behind me, and I want to put a puppet rack on both sides. And then I'm also thinking a little shelf along the bottom. I think it might look kind of nice. But anyway, rather than doing this all off of camera, I thought I'd show you at least how to build the puppet rack so you guys can make one yourselves at home. I also have a variation for a self-standing puppet rack that you might have seen in some of my videos before. I made it for when I went to Maker Faire a couple years ago. It uses pretty much the exact same principles, except for that one is self-standing. I'm gonna be making two racks, but I'm just gonna show you the process for one. And if you wanna make your rack longer, just extend some of these measurements. All right, here we go. If you wanna make yours exactly like mine, you're gonna need two 2x4s that are 4 feet long, two pieces of 3/4 inch plywood that I cut down to be 6 inches wide and 20 inches long, and then two pieces of wood that are 20 inches long, 3/4 inch wide, and about a 1/2 inch thickness. All right, the first thing I want to do is round off some of those corners just to make it a little bit nicer. To do that, I just trace a roll of tape. And then cut on those lines. And after you cut that out, make sure you sand down the edges so you don't have any rough spots. Then you want to find the center spot on the 2x4s and mark it right there. It should be 24 inches. Next, I like to mark every 3 inches going in both directions from the middle. Using a square like this is a perfect measuring tool for this project. Then you also have to mark the center of each of those lines. Next, we want to drill a hole at each one of these intersections on both of these 2x4s. We want that hole to fit our 1/2 inch PVC perfectly. Now 1/2 inch is the inner diameter, so you actually need a different size bit to drill the holes. A 7/8 bit is the perfect size. You can use a spade bit like this, or you can use a Forstner bit. The Forstner bit tends to make cleaner cuts, but any 7/8 bit should work with this size PVC. A drill press is the best tool to use for this. However, you can absolutely just use a hand drill. Use really whatever tools you can get your hands on. And there we go. All the holes are drilled for both of them. Now, every 3 inches might seem a little excessive. However, what's nice about having it every 3 inches is that you can kind of make it modular. If you need more space for a bigger puppet, you can leave a couple sections open and space them out in a different way. And another added bonus to having so many holes is it also kind of takes down the weight a little bit. So these two pieces are going to be the sides, and these are going to slot in and fit snugly. To do that, we have to cut notches into both of these pieces. First, let's put the notches into the sides. To do that, I have to make a little bit of a template. And the perfect template is just cutting off a little piece of 2x4. Luckily, I had the scrap lying around. Now, make sure you do this on the butt end of the wood, not on what would be the sides. So the first thing you do is you measure down 1/4 inch, just like this. And then I have to make a 45-degree angle from there to wherever it lands on this side. So I'll put this right there. And then this is our template. Now what you want to do is lay this down so this line is parallel to the side of this board. Kind of like that. And then you're just going to trace around the edge. Perfect. Do that for both and then cut them out. All right, now that we have these notches cut, we have to cut some similar notches into the bottom of these pieces here. So they have to be a little skinnier to accept the other piece. So I want to make it right in between these two holes here. So I'll mark that line there, then I'll flip this over and transfer the line right there. Then what I want to do is trace this piece here right down the middle. And then I want it to go down about 1/2 inch. Just like that. Do that on both sides to both pieces, and then cut those notches out. All right, and we have all of our notches cut out on both of these. Next, I'm gonna attach these two pieces together just like this. I'm gonna use wood glue and nails. This piece is gonna give me a way to attach this whole thing to the wall.
You could probably get away without doing the wood glue, however, I always like to do it for a little bit of safety. And again, I am using a nail gun here, but you could absolutely just use a regular hammer and regular nails. Use the tools that you have available to you.
All right, these are all glued up. Next step is to paint everything. Now, while all these pieces are drying, I'm gonna get the stands ready. For the stands, we're gonna use this 1/2-inch PVC pipe. I cut it down into 20-inch lengths. Now, for my puppets, I've noticed that 20 inches works really well. But if your puppets are smaller or larger, make sure you adjust the size as needed. Now, I use spray paint to make these black, but I highly recommend using some sandpaper to sand it down first. Doing that will make the paint less likely to chip off. All right, it's the next day. I'm gonna start setting it up, but first, I gotta tear down this stuff. All right, I want to give you a closer look at how this goes together. You can see the two brackets are right here, and I have one of the 2x4s ready to go. All you have to do is line up these notches here with the corresponding notches on these panels. It goes in as easy as this. Snug fit. You can also put the poles on ahead of time if you want. Or you can always put them in after if it's easier. And again, one of my favorite things about this design is how easy it is just to move these pieces around. If you have really skinny puppets, you can have them closer together, or you can have them further apart to fit larger puppets. Toward the beginning of this video, I mentioned another puppet rack that was a portable puppet rack. That video is going to be coming very soon too, so stay tuned. If you make yourself a puppet rack, or even if you use any of my patterns at all, I'd love to see them. And if you want to become a puppeteer, I have plenty of free resources on my website. Go to CrewandDrewPuppets.com. I have tons of free patterns, a free guide to puppetry, and many other videos on this channel that teach you the art form of puppetry. Be sure to check out the Puppeteers podcast too. That's where we interview the world's most passionate puppeteers. Well, that's it for now. See you next time.